but I have a very, very special guest with me today, and I am so, so excited. You guys probably see him on the screen already. This is Alan Davidson, you guys, and we are going to talk about meditation. And just like any of you who have followed me for any amount of time, you know, I talk about inner Feng Shui. So some of you are probably wondering, you know, Safrina hasn't been doing a lot of live streams on actual Feng Shui topics. But my perspective is you can shift the furniture outside as much as you want. But if you don't shift the energy inside of you, you're really only, you know, addressing part of the energy. And anything in your life that you want to change, we all know, is energy. And if you want a more successful life, a more meaningful life, we need to align the most auspicious, the most prosperous energy to us. And so here is another live stream on inner Feng Shui and specifically on meditation. And this is a topic that, even though I've been doing meditation for 2 decades of my life, I don't feel that I am a master. So for you guys, because I love you so much, I've been seeking a master. And today we have him. Help me welcome you guys, Alan Davidson from throughyourbody.com.
Hello, hello everybody. Welcome.
Yay, we have Marilla, Tanuja, Tessie, Gemma, Oyuki, Grace, Cecilia. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest expert today. So Alan Davidson, he is the creator of evolutionary mystic meditation. And that's something that we're going to dive in today. And the founder of throughyourbody.com. He's the author of Body Brilliance, Mastering Your 5 Vital Intelligences. And it's the #1 best-selling health and wellness book and winner of two National Book of the Year awards. And I checked out the reviews on that book, you guys. It's just mind-blowing. And I feel like there's so much about Alan and his work and his message that needs to be spread out in the world, because everyone that he touches just has amazing testimonials about his work. For 2 years, Alan was a sitting board member for the Center of Integral Wisdom. Thank you. And I'm going to be spouting a whole bunch of names that are one of the biggest spiritual thought leaders in our world right now. So he's sitting on the board members along with Ken Wilber, Mark Gaffney, Barbara Marx Hubbard, Sally Campton, Michael Bernard Beckwith, Jack Canfield, John Gray, John Mackey, who is the CEO of Whole Foods, and a host of other world-class spiritual teachers. So you guys, I'm not even exaggerating. We do have a world-class spiritual teacher in our midst today. So I'm so, so excited. Welcome, Alan. So great to have you.
Thank you, Safrina. And I just want to echo what you said at the beginning of the talk about inner Feng Shui versus outer Feng Shui. And when I think in terms of Feng Shui, it's really about the movement of energy. And whether we're talking about the movement of energy in the outside world or the movement of energy within our own body and our own soul. And I heard a story recently. Yogananda, who's the author of Autobiography of a Yogi, once said that when he started a national tour or world speaking tour, he always went to his yogic astrologers and had them pick the worst auspicious day to start a tour, because he wanted to prove to his students that no matter what the eternal circumstances are in the world, if you are centered in your soul, if you are present in your power, that you can create a positive outcome no matter what the astrology says, no matter what the circumstances are. So inner Feng Shui in my book is exactly where it's at.
And that's very interesting how you say that, because sometimes in terms of metaphysical teachings or wisdom, me as a teacher, it's hard for me to hold back information. But sometimes information can put people in a negative spot. So you were saying how Yogananda said to start the tour on an inauspicious date. You probably know there's Chinese date selection, right? And this is something that I teach my clients and my students in Manifesting Code, but some of them panic and they get stuck in it. I'm like, the date selection is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of energy, aligning energy. There's other stuff to do.
Right.
So that's amazing. You are the founder of Evolutionary Mystic Meditation. Tell us a little bit more about that, how it came to you, or actually a little bit more about yourself too.
Okay, well, great. Well, let me start with evolutionary mystic. People say, God, that sounds cool. What the heck is that? So first, I believe three important things: that every human being that was born on this earth was born as a mystical child. That at soul level, when we were born, we had access to the infinite, the eternal, the ecstatic states of being. And then we compressed all of that light and all of that love and all of that truth of our soul into a baby's body. And then we had to figure out, oh, how do I survive in this world? And we created an identity, a persona, a personality. And we get very addicted to that personality. And what I like to say is we traded our telescope with access to the cosmos for a keyhole. So all that infinity and eternity and ecstatic joy gets compressed into a personality. And it's like looking at the world through a keyhole. And, that's just sort of the way the world works, at least at this point in human evolution. And so the part of the spiritual journey, spiritual enlightenment, spiritual awakening is to unravel that persona and the limiting beliefs and the limitations that we have in our own body, our heart, our mind, and our spirit to become what we already are at the essence of our soul, which is what I call evolutionary mystic. And the evolutionary mystic is the promise of our mystical child fully realized through all of our human experiences, through all of our trials and tribulations that we learn to master, and we live into being a real mystic. So the way I define an evolutionary mystic, Safrina, is an ordinary person just like you, just like I, who can access the infinite, the eternal, and the ecstatic states of being at will. And there's only, if you think about the development of our world, there's only 94% of the world is stuck in the lower three chakras in 3D reality. It means only 6% of the world can move into the heart and have a real soul experience through the heart. And only 1% can move into the seventh chakra intentionally and at will. 1% of the world's population. So a mystic, an evolutionary mystic, is a person who can at will move into that infinite open spaces. But then more importantly, skillfully tap the healing energies of infinity and eternal love, unconditional love, ecstatic joy, to heal the parts of us that are still contracted, that are still holding on to pain in our bodies.
Yes.
And once we do that, then we can help collectively midwife the next stages of human evolution together.
That is amazing. And that you actually answered my next question was why do we need to get into that or start aligning ourselves as an evolutionary mystic? Like what can we, because human beings with our ego mind and everything is what can I get out of it, right?
Right. What's in it for me?
What's in it for me?
Right. Right.
Like, and I can put myself in someone who maybe tried meditation but can't meditate, and you know, people always say, "Oh, meditation helps you with relax, with your stress management and everything." But what you're talking about is way more. It's way beyond that. It's
right.
is to tap into that enlightened part of ourselves that most of us we don't know how to get to, right? And I can share, sometimes my clients get really frustrated or my students get really frustrated when I say meditation, even for just a few seconds, if you can stay in that infiniteness part of you is where, like you said, you release the pain, you release the fear, you release the worry. And for me, sometimes I feel like no one understands the situation that I'm in. But when I tap into that mystical side of me, I don't feel alone.
Right.
I feel like there's so much support around me. And I come out from my meditation feeling healed and whole. So you have a big job in terms of guiding, helping people to tap into that I feel most modern meditation techniques have failed. How is evolutionary mystic meditation specifically different from other meditations that you've seen?
Well, you ask a lot of very important questions in that. So, the thing that I want to say is that, whether you use the term evolutionary mystic, urban saint, rural sage, divine seeker, whatever term you put on it, it's a state of your natural being, and it's a stage of your human development. And you said, I have a big job. It's like everybody listening to this has a big job, because at soul level that there is so much more for you. Carl Jung, one of the grandfathers of psychiatry and modern psychology, said this: we all walk in shoes that are too small for us. We all walk in shoes that are too small for us, meaning that we allow the limitations of our personality to constrict us and contract us, and to have us play very small in the world. And our job, he used the word individuation, Yogananda said self-actualization, I say evolutionary mystic, is to break the shackles of all that constrains us and contracts us, and to walk freely and powerfully and centered in the world. And that's what an evolutionary mystic is: to be a healing presence in the world, and to midwife the very best in every human being and every soul, to be their best moment to moment to moment.
Yeah.
And so, you said, how is evolutionary mystic meditation different? Well, I'm a firm believer. I call it the economy of God. Everything that you've done in your entire life has gotten you to this moment, has gotten you to this level of presence, this level of awareness, and it's served you in your healing and your transformation. So it's like, okay, and as we evolve to different stages of healing and move into our wholeness and our, what I like to say, my ultra fabulousness, is, that's right, honey.
Yeah, I was going to do that too.
And it is to, it's, what are the techniques? One thing that I've been a licensed body worker for 31 years. 31 years. And I've been teaching meditation, body work, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, many healing modalities for all of that and more. And so I would always notice, like, why do some people do really well with mindfulness meditation? Why do some people do really well with Byron Katie's The Work? Why do some people do well with Kundalini yoga? And it's like different techniques work for different personality types, and also at different times in their life. But at a certain point, as we become more whole, we have to find new techniques that meet us where we are at a new stage of development, but then also help us find the skills within our own self that we can then up level to the next stages. We're moving from a place of needing external experts in our life and our world to being the internal expert, my own inner guru that can guide me and teach me. And yeah, we'll have friends to walk with us along the way. We'll have teachers that will walk with us, but the paradigm of power is completely shifted. We're walking as equals. We're walking as friends. We're walking as partners. There's not a teacher-student or superior, inferior, or subordinate kind of relationship at all.
And I think many of us we're stuck in suffering and worry and because we worry that we're missing the answer to whatever it is that you feel that you're stuck in. But that's the thing. I may still be a constant spiritual seeker, but I've come to a point where I realize, you know what, if I really get into that space of knowingness, and I think you mentioned in one of your other webinars, that energy of pure potentiality as well, you can find that answer. You just need to learn how to tap into that. So it's like a bottomless well, right? You just need to find that well.
and the important distinction, Safrina, and what I heard you say is that, you know, you asked sort of, what's my story? How did I come to be here?
Yes.
You know, I moved to Houston in 1980 to become bartender to the Fabulous. And I was partying really hard. I was an IV drug user. I was a methamphetamine user. I was very thin and glamorous back in the day.
I saw those photos.
Yes. And, but you know, I paid a high price for that kind of a lifestyle, and my community paid a high price when we learned that AIDS was, you know, caused by a virus. I knew that I had already shared needles with men who died of AIDS. I just assumed I would die, terrible death. And so I did get clean and sober in 1988. I had a little relapse at the end of 89, and since March 1st of 1990, I have been sober. So a long time. So I always knew there was a spiritual solution to my pain and my suffering, but I had to find it. And what I came to realize is one, am I seeking enlightenment and freedom and bliss and beauty from a place of pain and suffering? And as I got stronger and healthier and more centered and wiser and more compassionate, and I could hold that more and more and more, and then actually enter into those mystical states of infinite spaciousness. And by the way, we'll be doing that together next Tuesday with an experience. I realized something very important. So yeah, I've considered myself a lifelong learner. You know, as long as I can remember, you know, 5, 6 years old, I've been learning and studying what it is to be human. But now that I can hold those infinite spaces, I realize that I come from a place of what I call holy curiosity. It's to understand what it is to be a human, having an infinite, eternal, joyful, soulful experience in this body, in this world, versus a human being who is in a lot of pain and trying to find release from that.
That's amazing. Sorry, I'm just kind of speechless. I'm just letting that sink in. That and obviously all of us, we had our stories, our path that, you know, I think Buddha, I'm paraphrasing, says something about life is suffering. And in suffering is where we seek answers, right? When everything is good, many of us, we don't pray to God until we need a prayer to be answered, right? So whoever is watching us out there, if you're currently in a life situation that you feel maybe you're out of options, or your back's against the wall, or everyone else around you is not supporting you in whatever journey that you want to, that you're on, is there one thing, like if you're, for instance, Alan, if you're talking to someone in a cafe or whatever, right? And you don't know too much about them, but you know that they're suffering. Is there one little thing, one little baby step for someone to start peeling that onion into that mystical part of themselves?
Well, yes, there is. And so there's sort of a flip sides of a coin, or two sides of a sword that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So one is to, if you are in, particular acute suffering right now, one is what do you already know to do? Who can you reach out to help you to take the edge off of that incredible pain? Because when I'm in pain, when we're in pain, we don't have the clarity or more options or more choices available. So our brain can't even perceive them. We can't see them or experience them. So, for me, the body, enlightenment is a bodily process. It's not something that we do with our mind. It's not something that we do with our spirit exclusively. Enlightenment is a bodily process. So all of my work is about how do I come home to the body, and within my own body find the secrets of the mystery of the universe. And so what you can do is always just take a few minutes to breathe. And what I call sense your body. Tune into the actual sensations of your body and really ground yourself, because most of our pain and most of our suffering is happening in our mind because we're either addicted to the past or addicted to the future. Not really living in the present.
Yes.
And so when I tune into the raw sensations of my body, and I will take you, we can do it in 30 seconds right here. So from the perspective of sensations of touch, there are three primary things to focus on. So, Safrina, if you'll just press your palms together like this.
Okay. Everyone else do it as well.
That's the sensation of pressure. So feel the heels of your hands pressing against each other. If you're sitting down, sense the weight of your thighs on the chair, or sense your feet on the floor. That's the sensation of pressure. And there's always the sensation of movement. If you just move your hands like this, you can sense your fingers moving in space. Or another primary movement, as many meditation teachers do, is place a hand on the heart and the hand on the belly. And the movement of the breath.
One on the heart and one on the belly. Okay.
Yeah. That's just primary movement in the body. Or even if you're really stressed and suffering, you're not going to be able to probably hear your heart. But as you become more calm and more still, you can sense the movement of your heart beating. The boom, 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 boom. That's, again, primary movement in the body. And then the third sensation of touch is temperature. So if you rub your palms together like this, you can feel heat. You can feel warmth. So I'm in Houston. I'm in a very air-conditioned room. Hallelujah. And so I can feel the warmth of my palms, but I can feel the cool air on my forearms.
I get you. Okay.
So anytime that I feel like I'm lost in my mind, that I'm lost in, the three-dimensional world, I'm off center, I'm off the present moment, all I have to do is just sense my body. What are the sensations of pressure I sense right now? What are the sensations of movement I can sense right now? What are the sensations of temperature? And just doing that for 30 seconds, 60 seconds will completely short circuit the functioning of the brain.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Can you guys do that? Like put it in the comment. Let us know how easy it is to just shift, like just shifting your focus takes you out of that mind stuck, right? Because we all know if you keep allowing yourself to be stuck in that mode of, non-productive mode of worry or frustrated or anger or depression, then it's not going to get you anywhere. Did you guys try that? Put it in the comment. Yes, you felt it. Oh, Yuki said. Awesome. Okay.
The other thing, Safrina, that I want to say, particularly, for any of us that feel, off center, I'm spinning in my mind. I call it that, hamster wheel of the brain. It's just
Yeah.
spinning, and I'm sort of stuck.
Yeah.
And there's a cycle of thinking, and there's a cycle of emotion that drives those sort of mental states. So breathing, again, taught by every mystical tradition in the world, is another way to come out of that. So first by sensing the body, and then coming in and just tuning into the breath. And I like to use a particular rhythm, and it's a in breath for a count of 6, a pause, and an out breath for a count of 3, and a pause. And just do that for a couple of minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, depending on how stressed you are. And that will completely bring your whole nervous system back into alignment. The emphasis on the out breath helps to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which soothes all the systems in your body.
Oh, I like that. So 6 counts to breathe in. That's a little bit gentler. You hold it. And then in the out breath, it's a little bit of a pushing out.
Short out breath.
Oh, a short out.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
See, shifting energy, I find, is just as simple as that, isn't it? Shifting the your inner feng shui, you guys. 30 to 60 seconds into your body, or a couple of minutes into your breath. And many people, again, I think it's the ego mind as well. They always come and say, how many minutes do I need to do it? Do it until you feel that you're more centered.
Right.
Easy.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's, most of us, certainly when I was younger, I had a love-hate relationship with my body. And most of us do, because when we actually tune into the body, one can sense the pain and discomfort in our physical body. We can also feel the negative emotions that we've been avoiding and neglecting. Mm-hmm. But when we learn to get really centered and present, what we realize is that when I can intentionally shift into the mystical, into the infinite, all of a sudden infinite spaciousness is my friend, and I can bring that spaciousness to the pain in my body. I can bring that spaciousness to the emotion, and I can allow it to unspool, unspiral, to move and expand and let it go. Mm. And as you know, as a feng shui expert, all energy ever wants to do is to move.
Yes.
But we contract it, we constrict it in our bodies. And when we bring infinite spaciousness as an ally, as a friend, and let the energy in our bodies and our hearts and our minds move, then we can release it forever and it's gone.
Thank you for that, Alan. Everything, I think for a lot of people, meditation sounds good. Like they hear you talk about, this movement of energy and everything. But for a lot of people, they feel they can't meditate, or they can't get into that state because their mind is constantly, it runs away from them. Mm-hmm. For someone who struggles with that, and I think most people struggled with that until their meditation muscles is a little bit stronger, your method of evolutionary mystic meditation, mm-hmm. does that help in terms of someone who just can't?
Right. Well, so one, most people, when they think of meditation, they think of classic sitting in stillness, legs crossed, watching the mind.
Yeah.
And that's a very important skill to develop. Concentration. When I think in terms of the meditations that have been taught in all the mystical traditions, and also studied to be effective by neuroscientists who are really mm-hmm. watching the brain, there are 4 main kinds of meditation. There's concentration, which is sitting cross-legged, watching the mind, watching the breath, using a mudra, using a mantra, watching a candle. Concentration. It's an important skill to develop as a human being. Yeah. And then there is devotion, which is cultivating love in the heart.
Mm.
And meditation is an example of that. Compassion is the third. And then the fourth is what they call vastness. It's moving into that infinite spaciousness and realizing that I'm so beyond that voice in my head. I'm so beyond that persona that I've created. I'm so beyond all those constant thinking patterns that I have over and over, those habits of thinking. And it's moving into that spaciousness. So one, it's important, I think, over your spiritual adventure in this life is to try all those. There are practices for concentration, for devotion, for compassion, and for vastness. So evolutionary mystic meditation really moves you into vastness. So, and very quickly, usually someone, even people who've never meditated before, in 30, 40 minutes can have an experience of the infinite. And so, and particularly people who have some experience with meditation can really move into this beautiful spaciousness. And then you can use that. What I love to say again, the body is our greatest teacher. So the persona that's in pain and suffering and caught in, hamster wheels of thinking and believing and feeling, those all have particular sensations. Well, moving into the vastness of the infinite, moving into the eternal, unconditional love of the Divine Mother, moving into the experience of the evolutionary mystic, they also have sensations. And as we sense those wonderful, amazing, open, healing experiences, our nerves and our nervous pathways and our neural pathways are being redeveloped. And we have a sensory experience in the body and our connective tissues and our muscles that helps us move back into it anytime we choose to.
That vastness, I love that. So, like Ellen mentioned earlier, and I've heard some of her students, I've been doing the Silva method for 15 odd years now. So when I saw the testimonial from Laura Silva Quesada, I think.
Who's Jose's daughter.
Yeah, Jose Silva's daughter, who took over after Jose Silva passed away. She says, I've done a lot of the spiritual work, done a lot of the self-development work, and yet you were still able to bring her to another level that she wasn't able to get to with the tools that she's tried. Mm-hmm. So that's for someone who's done the inner work. But for someone who's a newbie, I don't want you guys to get turned off by all this meditation talk as well. Alan mentioned that he's got students who, not that well versed in meditating, but at the end of the evolutionary mystic event that he held, I think you hold it pretty frequently as well. Yeah, I saw you posted a while back.
Right.
But they were able to come away with that experience into that vastness as well.
Right. I had the opportunity to speak at the Spring Energy event in New Jersey earlier this year. And there were 100 people. And most people there are energy medicine practitioners, a lot of tappers, a lot of yoga teachers, a lot of Feng Shui people. Mm-hmm. And there was a lady there who's quite good at tapping, but she really helps people with post-traumatic stress. And she works in the world, working with state governments and city governments and local governments. And she came up to me afterwards and said, normally I would read the description of your work and I would never go 100 miles close to what you did. Yeah. But it was right before dinner and there was nothing else to do. So I went to your program. And I want you to know, in 20 minutes of when we began the meditation, I felt more peaceful than I have ever felt in my life. So even the skeptical people can have an experience if they're willing just to trust the process a little bit and go with the flow and work with the different parts of us that help us function in the everyday world. And then just by asking the simple question, please let me speak to that part of us that is already always awake, already always infinite, already always eternal, already always ecstatic. They're available to us like that, but most of us just don't know how to shift and open ourselves so that we can move into those spaces.
Yes, that is amazing. I love that. Just 20 minutes, and it took her into basically back to herself.
Right. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing about, again, what I say, evolutionary mystic, urban sage, rural saint, divine seeker, however you want to call that truest part of yourself. It's that promise of your mystical child that came into this life, the blueprint in your soul's DNA that is fully realized. And 7 billion plus people on the planet all have the same capacity to move into this kind of mystical embodied experience. And the more time we spend as our mystic, living, breathing, being our mystical selves in the world, the more we embody love, the more we embody compassion, the more we embody being centered presence, then the more we can be effective in our own lives, in our own businesses, in our own families, in our communities, and certainly as change agents in the world.
Yeah.
And that's the invitation of this work.
Yes. So those of you who want to really experience the evolutionary mystic meditation with us, Alan's obviously guiding us into that journey himself. It's happening this Tuesday, coming Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay. I have those of you guys who are in Manifesting Code, you get this as part of your membership. But if you're not in Manifesting Code, I have the registration link down here, bit.ly/mystic meditation. So just get to that page, book your spot, and you'll get the login credentials and information on how to join us this Tuesday to get on this amazing evolutionary mystic meditation event that Alan is so generously sharing with me and my people who, like I said, I love very, very much. Is there, I think, let me see if we have questions. Do you guys have any questions for Alan? I get questions about meditation all the time, but now they're quiet when I have a master on the line.
Well, I want to just talk about the word meditation because people get hung up on it a lot.
Yes.
And it's important to remember that, to me, meditation is a very broad word, and it simply means to focus or develop the mind.
Yes. Thank you for that.
And, the distinction that I want to make as we learn to focus our mind, we begin to realize that, one, I'm not my thoughts. There's some space between the part of me that is actually observing and the thoughts themselves. I'm not that voice in my head. There's a part of me that is observing that voice talking and all the different things that it can say and will say in our head. I'm not the persona. And so, meditation is a lot of different things, but meditation is not the destination.
Mm-hmm.
The destination is you being happy, healthy, whole, free, loving, kind in your life. It's you being so centered in yourself that no matter what happens in the circumstances of your life, you're still kind, loving, present, generous, peaceful in yourself. You're embodying that through the connective tissues, the muscles, the bones of your very body are resonating in those frequencies. And I just also want to say, Safrina, that, we can talk about the soul's frequency or vibration. And when we move into those mystical and infinite states, it becomes so much easier. We're at our most powerful. It becomes so
Mm.
much easier to heal our physical bodies, and no matter what state of disease that we're in, it helps us to heal the heart and the places where our heart are still bound and constricted and holding pain. It helps us to heal our minds where we're still addicted to limiting beliefs and ways of being in the world.
Mm.
And so when I'm at that high frequency, it makes healing those other levels of my experience so much easier, and it goes so much faster.
Yes. Just like everyone's got, we mentioned earlier, everyone's got issues, they've got suffering in this life, but you don't have to stay in that suffering. No one
Yeah.
has to stay in it, right? And this is one of the many ways to get out of that and claim that
Right.
peace,
Yeah.
that inner peace. And once you have the inner peace, you will start magnetizing external peace as well, in harmony.
Well, Carl Jung, who I mentioned earlier, one of the grandfathers of psychiatry and modern psychology, said that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional.
Yes.
And what he meant by that is that, we fall and we hurt our bodies, or, grief happens, people that we love leave or they die, or they hurt. So we are programmed to experience pain, but suffering is our addiction to that pain. And that's the part that's optional. Can I be present to the pain that's happening in my experience right now and surrender it and let it go and let it move through me, because it's just energy that wants to move?
Yes. I love that.
Or do I attach to it and get addicted to it and hold on to it? And that's that cycle of suffering that happens and happens.
Yes. And this just popped into my mind. If there is a little bit of openness on your end, those who are watching us right now, especially if you've tried meditating in the regular understanding of that word, right? You've tried and failed, you've tried and failed. But if there's like that inner voice that's kind of just tapping on your shoulder and say, you know what, let's just try this, see where that leads us. Join us again. The link is down there, but I want to say or remind everyone that you may not get it right off the bat, but if you keep at it, this is a life-changing skill. It truly is. No matter what life throws at you, there is that one tool that you can always get back to, that one path that you can always get back to, which is that part of us that is really infinite and really powerful. We just need to step into that. So I don't see any other questions from Facebook or on YouTube. Are there any final takeaways or any last words that you want to leave us with today, Alan?
Well, as you were, just sharing a few minutes ago, I was thinking about the word responsibility. And when I used to study the law of attraction, and they would say, oh, I'm responsible for my experience. And what wasn't clear to me at that time is, what's my experience and what am I really responsible for? And, so obviously I'm big on evolution, and evolution has been happening for 13.8 billion years. There are patterns of energy, of cosmic energy, that have been moving multiple universes for 13 plus billion years. Now, as a human being on Earth in the outback of the Milky Way galaxy, there are things that I can't do to impact that. But what I can be responsible for, Safrina, is how I choose to respond in every single moment. Yes. Can I respond from a place of presence and centeredness and power and compassion and kindness and peace? Or do I let the old habits of mind, the old habits of emotion, hijack my choices and have some sort of knee-jerk reaction.
Yes.
And that's the level of responsibility that I'm talking about. And cultivating that, being so centered in the mystical, so centered in love and kindness and compassion and power, that no matter what happens, I can choose most skillfully, most effectively, how to respond in every moment, and not have those old habits of contraction and pain and suffering hijack my choices and dictate who I'm being in the moment.
Goodness, I don't know about you guys, but I just felt it. Like it was giving me goosebumps. My heart was like beating a little bit faster. Just everything that Ellen said. I was just sitting here and trying to really focus on everything that you're saying. And it's just, it is a message to ask you. And I say this all, maybe a little cheesy now, but it is a message basically for you to come home to the power that was given to you the moment each of us are born. Mm-hmm. Right? So thank you so much, Alan. I can't wait for the Manifesting Code community to try this meditation in a group on Tuesday. But if you're not in the Manifesting Code community, don't fret. You can still join us if you want, just for this one meditation event. You can register bit.ly/mystic meditation. It's happening next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks again, Ellen. I truly, truly appreciate, and I'm so, words can't say just how happy I am to get you as our guest expert this month. Have a very good day, everyone. Hello. This is Safrina Kadri from Feng Shui and Prosper, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do try to put out a brand new video every week. So if you subscribe, then you can make sure that you don't miss out on any of the other content that will be coming out your way.